Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see in the introduction to this video, I have a little bit of a problem in this tank. So in the last year or so, as you can see, the corals are growing out super duper well, especially my sticks. But as everything grows out, unwanted pests grow out as well. And the pest of choice for this tank is going to be Aiptasia, which has been kind of a constant problem in this tank. Now, personally, I wouldn't call it really a problem. I've had Aiptasia in pretty much every tank I've ever owned, and everybody else, honestly has Aiptasia too. If you've never had Aiptasia, come on, really, you're kind of just lying to yourself. But, over the years, I've had Aiptasia, and it's never really been of a problem. More of just a nuisance. So they do sting corals a little bit, but it's usually never so bad that they'll kill them. And they do, kind of infest tank a little bit, which is kind of what I'm dealing with right now. There's just a little bit more than I would actually like in this tank. So what we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to go ahead and deal with these guys. So like I said, I've never really had an issue as far as, Aiptasia actually killing anything. Like I said, it's more of just a nuisance, kind of a pest coral, you could say, for example. I mean, it kind of is coral, right? But it is just kind of a pest that, you sometimes just have to deal with. Pretty much every tank I've ever had has it, and it's really not that big of a deal. Now, the issue that I'm having right now is just that, for example, here and there, for example, it's just kind of growing in places I would rather have it not be growing, and some of the Aiptasia are actually getting really darn big. Which is, a little bit annoying. There is actually, it's a little hard to see, but back here I do have one that is just a gigantic monster, but it's all the way in the back, so I really don't have a way of dealing with it. But that's, all in all pretty fine. But like I said, there's just a little bit more than I'd like to deal with, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can get this handled. And what happened is we have a local reefer called Romeo. He actually raises these guys, as you can see right here. These are the berghia nudibranchs. I don't know why this one's upside down and floating, but he is definitely still alive. But these guys right here actually eat Aiptasia. So what we're going to go ahead and do is release these guys into the tank, let them go ahead and chomp away, and we'll see if there's much of a difference. Now, one thing to note is that these are little kind of snaily kind of creatures, and I have a lot of these wrasses. For example, this leopard wrasse right here, well, these are all three leopard wrasses, but they're just different types. I have a fairy wrasse as well, and also a possum wrasse if I was ever able to find him. Now, these type of fish will actually make a snack out of these guys. So my plan to put these guys into the tank is going to be wait until the lights turn off. At that point, the wrasses that I have here will go to bed. I think most of my wrasses sleep under this little rock right here. But what will happen is they'll go to bed, and I'll go ahead and release these guys into the tank. Now, things to note about these little berghias is that they actually like to hunt, and it seems like they like to sleep in packs. So instead of, for example, putting one there, one on that pillar, and one on that pillar, I'm going to just dump them into the most infested part of my tank, which is going to be this main area right here. I'm going to go ahead and let them, do their chomping away, let them eat, and we'll see if, they actually work in the next week or so. But yeah, we're going to wait until the lights turn off, wait for these little guys to go fast to sleep, and we'll be right back in a hour or two. And while we're waiting, fun little story is a couple months ago, well, actually not even a couple months ago, I think it's almost been a year ago, I actually gave Romeo, the guy who gave me these nudibranchs, I gave him a biopellet reactor because he was looking for one. And instead of for money, I just asked him. He has a weeping willow toadstool that is just super impressive in his tank, and I wanted a cut of that. And after about I think it's been like a year or so, I finally got over to his place, and he gave me one of the little frags of the weeping willow. His is actually really nice and long. It has like a nice dark bluish base with green tentacles. It looks super cool. I figure, I could use a little bit more movement similar to this weeping willow. So yeah, I got that frag back home. Hopefully he does super well in the future. I'm gonna figure out a place to mount him. I have noticed that the leathers do better when they just don't move ever. Yeah, I'll figure out a place for that little guy to go. But yeah, after a year of waiting and, giving things to people who need it, got myself a frag of a coral that I've always wanted. So good things do come to people who do good deeds. But, we'll go ahead and wait right now and let these lights turn off, and we'll be right back. All right, so it is now nighttime. I don't know why I'm whispering, because I really don't need to be. But, yeah, all my wrasses are asleep. They are going to be right here underneath this torch. That's always been like their kind of a sleeping spot. I have all the pumps turned off because these little nudibranchs, I don't want them to get sucked up and just kind of, killed. But what we're going to do is open up the little box, and I'm going to pour them directly onto probably this rock. As you can see there's a lot more Aiptasia that they can eat. Alright, so since they are sleeping, I went ahead and just turned on the lights just to make it easier to see. I mean, the wrasses, which are the ones that'll eat them, I'm not worried about because they're all asleep. Most of these fish are unconscious, with the exception of just, one or two. But I have the nudies right here. I went ahead and shook the jar a little bit just to kind of get them into suspension. And what we're going to do is just, I think I'm just going to open this guy up right here. And we're gonna just lower it so they don't float away. Well, I couldn't find the pile. There was like a small pile of 2 or 3 that were stuck together, and they kind of fell down into the sand. But I did manage to get one here and one right there. So hopefully they'll be able to kind of find each other. There we go. That's a little better. There. So there's one there and one there and there's one there. So they should be able to find each other. And we'll just let it sit for now. And I'll turn on the flow in like 10-15 minutes so they can get a good hold of the rock. And slowly we'll see over the next few weeks if they do their job and eat up these Aiptasia. Alright, evening ladies and gentlemen. It is currently day 4 of putting the nudies into the tank. I was a little worried about my wrasses eating them, which is why I had also mentioned that I wanted to wait till the wrasses are asleep. But currently it's day 5. One of the bigger nudies I was able to find. You can kind of see him right there, dead center. It's a little hard to focus, I think, just with the flashlight and everything, but he is right there next to a whole bunch of Aiptasia. I haven't seen him eat anything yet. He's kind of just chilling there, and I haven't seen any other Nudibranchs either. But he is chilling there. He's big, he's a good size. It does not look like he's missing any tentacles either. So I think that's a good sign. That means nothing has eaten him yet, nothing's poked at him yet. He's kind of just chilling there. I really can't get a good focus on it
probably just from the diffraction from the glass, but he is right there and he's doing great. So we'll let him be. He's starting to move around a little bit, and yeah, we'll see if we have more updates on this Aiptasia eating nudibranch.
One eternity later.
All right, so it has actually been a couple months now, and to be honest, I totally forgot about this video. I don't see my tank very often during the evenings, so I never actually get to see any of the berghias, in the main display. Now, I have noticed they are working because my main display up here is now actually completely Aiptasia free except for a couple. And on occasion I do see one just kind of hanging out in the actual front pane of the glass. So I do know they are for sure still alive. Now, some of them have actually gotten super big, like an inch or two long, and what I've actually done is take my little turkey baster right here, suck them up, and I go ahead and I put them into the sump right here. I do have a good amount of Aiptasia still left in my sump right now, as well as the back overflow right here. So on the chances that I do have, I suck them up with that little guy and drop them back there in hopes that they'll go ahead and eat some of the Aiptasia down here to maybe finally eliminate it. And while we're actually talking, there is one actually right, if it'll focus, right there in the center of the screen. So you see the little guy right there. Now this is actually one of the smaller ones. I do have some really big boys in this tank. I don't see any here right now. That's unfortunate, but trust me, they are down there and they are doing just fantastic. Now, a couple things that I have noticed, for those who kind of inquire about berghias, some things I've noticed is they only do eat these small ones. So I used to have a bunch of small ones here on this little frag rack right here that's filled with algae now. But I do have some there that I hope they'll go ahead and eat. But they actually don't eat the big ones. So for example, I do have one last big one right back there. That's a little too big to fit in any of the berghia's mouths. So what I have to do, which is what I did do, is, for example, this rock right here used to have a bunch of berghias, a bunch of Aiptasia. I have to kill all the big ones, which forces them kind of to spawn and make a bunch of little baby ones. And then once I have baby ones, the berghias go after them because I believe it's because they're actually able to fit it in their mouths. So what I'm going to actually have to do is kill this little bugger, wait for it to, make a bunch of little babies, whether it's in the same place or it's somewhere else in the tank itself, doesn't really matter. But the berghias that I do have, up here, they'll go ahead and eat the rest, do their thing, wherever it may land. And as, we get to it, hopefully this tank will be Aiptasia free, which for the most part it is. I did look around the tank a little bit. The only one I happened to spot was this one that's on the bottom, not on a rock, but on the back of a coral. And as they make more babies, I'll probably have to get rid of all these guys before they die off. So some of the bigger guys in here, they're like 2 inches or so. We'll go ahead and scoop them up once they, get closer to completing their job. I can still see a bunch of Aiptasia just on this back wall, for example, so they're not quite there yet. But once they do get there, we'll start removing them slowly so they don't die off, try to get them into other people's tanks that have Aiptasia, and hopefully they do well there, propagate, and keep going. But that is it for today's episode. It's been super fun watching these guys occasionally just crawl on the glass. I haven't seen one actually eat an Aiptasia, but that's okay. They're clearly doing their job. But yeah, thank you guys as always for watching. I appreciate it if you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.